So I'm standing outside of Sobre Mesa, a restaurant here in Antigua. But today we're not talking about food. Today we're talking to the owner, the book writer, Alex Farrar, and we're going to ask him a lot of questions about his newest book. So we're talking about the book. Let's just let Alex tell you all about it.
Yes, Fist of God. It just came out. I'm very proud of it. I really didn't expect to write it. I know that sounds strange, but it's so different from what I used to write. My first 9 books were smut. I'll be honest. There was violence, a lot of bad language. I wrote them when I was a younger man. Different strokes for different folks, right? Until my brother's children asked their father, "Hey, Dad, when can we read Uncle Alex's books?" And he said, "When you're 30. And that made me realize, oh wow, my books are not suitable, not just for children, but for a lot of people. I've got to change what I write. And I wrote a book just for them. It's not a children's book, but it's the kind of book that is acceptable for precocious children. And that's The Prince of Foxes. And I wrote it as a one-off. I never intended for there to be sequels. And then, I forget how many years later it was, we were in the middle of COVID, and so many things were going wrong in the world, and there was so much about it that didn't add up. It made me think, I really need to write a book about this. And then, a couple years later, boom, the idea jumped into my head, fully grown. I'm really pleased at how it came out and how easy it was to write. You can find them on Amazon and allegedly in bookstores everywhere. And if they don't have them on the shelves, just ask at the desk. You can get them in my restaurant, Sobre Mesa, which is an art gallery restaurant, exotic ice cream shop bar. This is where you get signed copies.
How long does it take you to finish a book?
Well, it depends. My first 9 books I wrote in the traditional way. You sit down, you try to figure out what it's going to be about, and you power through and struggle to get your first draft on paper, and then your second draft, you edit it, and blah, blah, blah. This book, I figured out how it jumped fully grown into my head, and the same with the 2 sequels, and the one that I'm writing right now, number 4, another completely unexpected book. I found out that the French have something they call esprit d'escalier. It's the wit of the staircase, and it refers to the clever retort you come up with to that jerk in the bar. What you should have said to that jerk. You come up with it while you're walking upstairs to go to bed, and you're going, why am I thinking of this now? Why didn't it occur to me when I needed it? And the reason is your subconscious mind is constantly working backstage. Your subconscious will be continuously working. The wheels will be turning, and sometimes the answer manifests itself in a dream, not because it's a dream has any type of power. It's just that is the moment that your subconscious will come up with the answer, and the ticket pops out of the slot at just that moment. Ding! And you go, oh, okay, so this is the answer. You just happen to be asleep at the time. You could be driving, you could be doing whatever, and all of a sudden the ticket pops up. Oh, wow, that's what I should do. So, The Prince of Foxes came about because many years before, I had an idea, the very, very beginning, the first page of the book, and the very end. And I thought, I ought to write this book someday. That's it. Every now and then, it would pop up into my head. Yeah, I should write that. One day, I had nothing to do. My restaurant was empty. It was the low season. There wasn't anybody out in the street, not even tumbleweeds. And I thought, I got nothing to do. I've got no painting to paint, no dishes to cook. Why don't I try writing that book? And I sat down and I wrote the first page, and the second, and the third, and all of this stuff was coming out of me that had been stored in my subconscious for all that time, and I just needed to put my fingers on the keyboard to bring them out. And in this process, I thought, I really don't have a villain. I need some kind of Bond villain for this story, right? And A gentleman came in to visit me, someone who'd been here a while ago, and came back to Guatemala and was in here to visit me. And I told him, yeah, he said, what are you working on right now? And I told him, yeah, I'm writing this book and blah, blah, blah. And I need a villain. I'm just kind of stumped right there. And he said, why don't you write about... And the book was very, very popular. And that set in motion this new series, the Great Reset series. The more and more I found out, spoiler alerts, the more and more I find out, the more and more the books just wrote themselves, because I was just reporting on things I was hearing. What is my process? Getting back to that, I found out, just like the code breakers from World War II and the French, that if I just think about a problem and inadvertently ask my subconscious mind to solve it for me, it will start working. The wheels will start turning backstage to solve the problem. And I told them that the problem was, I need to write this book. And little by little, the book was constructed by my subconscious. All I had to do was sit down and write it. It happened again while writing the sequel, The Factory of Lies. And I want some Chekhov's guns. I started writing it, and at one point my rational mind got in the way, and I had to reel it in, like, stop that, stop thinking too much. Just, here's what I'm gonna do. I need it to be funny. I need there to be action, thrilling action. I need jokes. And these jokes better be really funny. I want to laugh at them. On Tuesday afternoon, I figured that was giving myself enough time. Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m., I'm going to sit down at this table, I'm going to open up my laptop, and I'm going to write the rest of this book. Subconscious mind, I need you to work on that backstage in the meantime. Chekhov's guns is a literary device described first by Anton Chekhov. He said, when you're describing something in your book, don't waste people's time describing stuff that's never going to be important. Don't describe the gun that's on the mantelpiece if by Act 3 no one's going to take it down and shoot it. So there's something that you can do when you're writing a book and you have writer's block. You just stop, you take some time, and then you go back and start reading your own manuscript from the beginning, and you'll come across a gun that you had written and not fired yet. And you go, oh, I can bring this back. And it's always going to be something small, something seemingly insignificant, like, what's that? Oh, it's Mr. No Shoes and the Shooty Shooty Bang Bang Christmas, I think it's called. That's what they call it in Europe. In the United States, they call it Die Hard. In the beginning, McClane, he's talking about retiring from the police force, and all they give you is a cheap gold watch, right? But then at the very end, Hans Gruber is hanging from his arm on the skyscraper, and his hand slides down, and it gets to the cheap gold watch, and the watch falls apart, and he falls to his doom, right? That is a Chekhov's gun. So I said, I'm going to need Chekhov's guns, various things that if I were writing rationally, I would always be a little bit stressed out, a little apprehensive of writing, because I'd feel like if I wrote this detail, I would feel obligated to bring it back into play sometime at a later date, and I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, right? So I asked my subconscious to do it for me, and there are all these things that made no sense to me at all, and I didn't understand what they had to do with the story, but I just trusted it. And Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m., I sat down at my laptop, and I put my fingers on the keyboard and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea. Just shut up. Just the process. Okay, start writing. Caitlin. Who's Caitlin? I don't know. Just write it. Caitlin ordered a coffee. And I ran with it. I wrote this scene about Caitlin ordering a coffee in Vienna. Vienna? Why is the story in Vienna? Shut up. Shut up, brain. Write the story. And I wrote 300 more pages to this story, and it was my best book ever at that time. I'm so proud of it. And I don't feel that I can take the credit for it, for the heartbreaking parts, for the jokes. The jokes are hilarious. I don't think I can say I wrote these funny jokes because I didn't. It was like there was this conduit to my brain from elsewhere that fed me all of these jokes that made me laugh out loud. I think it's a terrific story, and I don't feel bad about saying it because I really can't take the credit for it. Then, a couple of years later, after thinking I could not possibly write this next one, the next installment, after the cliffhanger where I left off, oh, hey, you know what? Maybe I ought to write that someday. I can't possibly. Shut up, rational mind. Stop with those failure words like can't. Just, I bet I can do it. Mind, start working on it, and we'll see what you come up with. I love this book, and I'm the most proud of the book I'm writing right now, The Brood of Vipers, from when Jesus is in Jerusalem and he's at the temple and he's condemning the Pharisees and calls them a brood of vipers. That. It's about heroes making it to Europe, to Davos, to sabotage the World Economic Forum. I'm really pleased with how it's turning out. I never would have expected it. All of this was written by seemingly some higher power. But if I think about it rationally, and I found out that Robert Louis Stevenson used to do this as well, he programmed his mind to write books like The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is a very commonplace story for us now because we've been exposed to it through cartoons even. You know, we're used to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But imagine what it was like over 100 years ago. Somebody writes this book. This was a freaking crazy story. He wrote this book using this process.
I'm a writer myself, so I know the process. What is your process when it comes to writing a book?
I feel that what you need to do for this process to work is you need to expose yourself to as much knowledge as you can and as many other books and other forms of art as you can, and think of your subconscious mind as a honeybee. It's flitting around in a meadow, collecting honey, collecting nectar from every source it can find. It goes and it collects nectar from all these different kinds of flowers, brings it back to the hive, and processes a much more complex and interesting product. That's what I feel I have done.